Money doesn't just come from one place. It drips, trickles, flows, and floods into our lives in different ways. Welcome to Drip, Trickle, Flow, Flood, a podcast that explores the power of multiple income streams. We've got merch. That's right. Drip, Trickle, Flow, Flood t-shirts are officially here, and they're as comfy as they are conversation starting. Grab yours at the link in our show notes. All right, we are so excited to have Kelvin Seely with us today. He's the founder of Tally Tumbler, which is the original scorekeeping tumbler built for golfers and backyard competitors. Hello, Tony. And anyone who loves to keep the game fun. He's also the host of the Toss Talk podcast, so make sure to give that a listen. We'll link that in the show notes. Welcome, Kelvin. We're so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Kelvin.
What's up, Tony?
So Kelvin and I connected through my Yard Game Nation Instagram page, and I was actually on Toss Talk. I don't even know what episode. I'd have to look back, but it's been a long time since I was on, but pretty cool. And actually, I'm looking at your background. You got some, looks like portable cornhole boards hanging on the wall behind you.
Yeah, definitely big into yard games. Those are miniature cornhole boards in the background, and I got a little soundboard I made out of corks. That's a whole nother story, but it ended up looking great. So thanks for noticing.
That's so cool, Kelvin. It's like cornhole art.
Right? Gotta embrace it.
We gotta embrace it. Now, how did you get into this? I've been introduced to the yard game world through Tony. But how did you get into this world? I'm so curious. How did you get your start in this? Was this like a lifelong passion? Is this newer for you?
No, it's it turned into a lifelong passion now. I got into it because I started bocce ball leagues here in Virginia Beach, probably almost going on 10 years ago now. It's been going for a while. Um, there's a lot of breweries and other restaurants opening up these bocce courts. And growing up here in Virginia Beach, I play a lot of games, play a lot of sports, but I'm always at the ocean front. I'm always playing games on the beach. And bocce was huge here in Virginia Beach, but funny enough, I didn't even know you could even play it on a court. I thought it was just a beach game for the longest time. Because that's all I saw is people playing it on the beach. But when these restaurants and breweries started opening up and making these bocce courts, I just got a good idea. I was like, hey, we should have a bocce ball league. And I looked around. There's leagues in other locations, but there was like one league here, but it was very small. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try and do this. So because of that, starting a league, diving down, and I knew nothing about a league for it to start, but internet research, did everything, started running a league. And through there, I realized that there's a whole other yard game community out there because, you start posting on Instagram, people start following you, you start seeing other games. So I was just seeing all these games come up on my feed, and I was just like, I've never heard of this game. I go to search on Amazon, they're not on Amazon. They're just a small creator. And I just got the idea. I was like, hey, well, my league is actually bringing in a lot of people. They're coming out playing just bocce. Why not I introduce them to other games to play too? So that got me on another path of just starting up the whole podcast. And the podcast was great because it's a lot of like top of the business funnel. Like you get introduced to people all over. I actually got introduced to my business partner, Matt Butler, who created the game Rollers. So because I started the league, he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, let me give you a couple games for your league." I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Like, I'll do pictures, I'll do everything. It was like my first like me getting stuff, so I was excited. And then I was just like, "Hey, I got a podcast. You wanna hop on and do a podcast?" And he was great and did all of that. And then later on, I ended up thinking of Tally Tumbler because of Bocce Ball, because of people were trying to keep score. They would forget keeping score. They would always have a drink in their hand. So I literally put two and two together and was like, you know what? Let me create the score keeping cup. But you know what? I also need some money. So who has money? And I literally like I asked Matt, I was like, hey, would you join me in this endeavor? And because, we connected and did everything, he hopped on and we started doing Tally Tumbler together. So it's a long story, but it all connects the dots just from me just starting the bocce ball league.
Yeah, and so, I mean, few things, and it's been fun. So I guess, it's been almost 6 years or something since I kind of
Yeah.
discovered Toss Talk and we connected or whatever. And so watching that journey, because you've got a day job, and I don't know what that looks like for you currently.
Yeah.
And
Now
then
currently doing Tally Tumbler full time. It's
awesome.
Tally
See,
Tumbler
so
has
when
been doing great. So yeah, so
yeah, and that
Tally Tumbler
wasn't
is
the
my full
case when
time
we
job.
first talked, right? He had
Nope.
a 9 to 5 job. Um, you had the bocce league going, and then the reality is like you started, and I'm sure when you started Toss Talk, you were hoping that something came out of it, but I'm imagining that what came out of it isn't what you expected. And the people that are into the yard game world, it's a weird niche world to be in. Like
It
there's
is.
some like finding information is kind of like what Kelvin you were just talking about. It's like the games aren't even on Amazon. I have this insane collection and I can't even find another copy of some of these games I have. And like people will
Right.
start them. Some of your guests, I can't, I own the game. You can't even find the person anymore. They're like poof, vanish onto some new chapter of
Yeah.
their life. These games will like come and go. And so like Toss Talk for me, when I've discovered, I was like, oh my gosh, there's actually a yard game resource out there that like gives you information. And like I have like all these books, but most of this stuff isn't in books. That's why I created Yard Game Nation to start sharing the information on these games. And so talk a little bit about that, about going into something basically just because you had this passion for it and then what's kind of grown out of it.
Yeah, so, just how any entrepreneur works, they always have a ton of ideas in their mind. And for me, that's very true. I'm not trying to like do everything, but there's ideas that I just want to like see through. So seeing all these games, I knew there was like a a story behind it. And I knew that nobody was, you know, capturing that story. So when I first started out, like it wasn't even about money or anything like that. I just wanted to like capture these stories and like group all of these games together because I love playing games. So I think it's so cool that there's so many creative games out there that they need to be shared. Just like QB54, like turning a chair into a fun game, like that's very creative and like that excited me. So every time I talk to somebody new, like I do my little bit of research, but I do like to just hear the story just unfold and just hear how these people connected the dots to create their game. And it excites me every time. I didn't think I'd get up to like what am I at like 80 episodes now? Pretty much every episode's a different game. I thought I'd be done like at 20. So I'm still going and there's still new games and I'm still reaching out to people. So yeah, just uncovering and doing that research and just seeing it unfold. It's been a joy to me. So and I still love doing it.
Yeah. And I think, you mentioned Matt, your business partner in rollers, like that was one of the first games that I discovered. I can't even remember. I've had that game for so long. And Matt and I have interacted a
Yes.
little bit over the years. And so those of you that if you haven't seen it, and I'm gonna say it's a semi popular game. It's still pretty unknown though if you break it out. Um, most people don't see it. But so you roll, it's basically it's kind of like a wheel You play it similar to bocce, where you're rolling this wheel towards a target. The target doesn't move in this case, but then on either side there's a number, and so depending on which way the disc lands, that's how many points you have potential to score if you're then closest. And I mean, it's a super fun game, and I highly recommend it. One, it's actually one of the more reasonably priced yard games out there. Super portable, and the barrier of entry is super low. Anybody can pick up that game and start having fun with it. Now, if you've got a, you know, bouncy yard or whatever, it definitely adds to the challenge of the game, but I think it adds to the fun too. But it is a cool game. And you mentioned QB54, you're throwing a football at a lawn. That's another game that I've had for so long. And still when I break it out, everybody's like, what on earth is this? And Kelvin, I think you were kind of getting into that,
Yeah.
just that excitement of people just making these yards. Most of the time it's in their backyard with their friends and family. And it's just such a positive, exciting thing.
Yeah, Rollers is another exciting game. When I saw that, I was just like, wow, like you're combining horseshoes with bocce, and then it's a wooden game. I'm a fan of wooden games, especially ones that look nice. And these little discs, you wouldn't think, but they could roll over sand, they could roll over grass. Matt made them amazing. And yeah, he's been selling it a long time, so I was amazed when I saw that. I was like, very innovative. I love it.
So, Kelvin, how do you brought this product to market, seeing this need in the space, in the gaming space, but it's not just for yard games, correct? It also works for golf, unless that's also considered a a yard game. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
umbrella that falls under.
Yeah. Um, so you said, how do I bring it to market?
Yeah, so you brought this to market and it seems to have a few different uses. Walk us through those initial phases of creating this and then how did you bring it to market? Was it through your podcast guests? Was it, are you reaching out to people
Okay.
individually, just selling online? What does that look like?
Yeah, so that was another fun and crazy journey looking back on that. As I said, I got Matt involved pretty early on. But prior to him coming in, I did my research, and I wouldn't say I was the most book smart in school, but I did like looking up things and seeing them through. So I I found out how to make a tumbler. That was a whole process in itself. I mean, you see a product and you're like, actually, how is that made? Like, where does the rubber come from? Like, where is the stainless steel? I literally had to um, look up where stainless steel was made and where it came from, and found out that most of it's concentrated in China and like in these quarries. And there's a ton of manufacturers over there that produce all these tumblers. I reached out to a lot of them one by one, and literally everybody was like, "No, we don't want to do this." I think it was over 40. I reached out, and they were like, "I can't make your tumbler for you." I I was very ambitious. I got luckily I had a buddy that was helping me, and he made my engineering and CAD designs for it. I knew nothing about that, but he sat me down and walked me through it. I knew I needed some. I didn't have a patent at the time, but I just went with it, and luckily a lot of people told me no, so I didn't think they would try and knock me off anyways. um but yeah, they were like, we can't do this, we don't want to change our design, we don't want to do it, it's going to cost so much money. And yeah, that was I wouldn't say a dark time, but it was definitely like, oh my god, is this even possible? Like, I didn't think it was going to be like this complicated. I thought it'd be a little bit easier. So that complication actually made me push even more. Fast forward a little bit, I found a manufacturer, and then I brought in my business partner Matt, and that's when things really accelerated because he's had his game rollers for a while. So already been selling on Amazon, selling at Walmart. He has a lot of connections in that world. So that was a big piece. So we just, did our partnership, and I was like, I'll do some more of the back end and you do more of the front end. And we divided and conquered. And then we ended up launching a Kickstarter, because we each put in our own money, but we needed a little bit more, just to get the molds made and the tooling and all that cost, and just to get our initial inventory over to the US. Because if you ever tried to get something in China or anything made big, they want you to at least get like 5,000 to 10,000 units. And if it's a brand new product, you don't even know how many units you want. So it's a risk. Um, so we did the Kickstarter, and then the Kickstarter went really well. It was combined with my podcast. I was promoting it over the podcast, promoting it on all my socials. Matt was doing the same, and friends and family helped out. You got to get your friends and family involved. And yeah, the Kickstarter got funded. And then once that happened, it was another whole waiting process, because it was like, okay, well, we have all our money, we paid the manufacturer, and we did everything. Now we're just like waiting on the shipment to come in and to fulfill the orders. Delays happen, little changes happen, things cost a little bit more, but that all worked out. I fulfilled all the Kickstarter orders. And then from there, word of mouth, like people loved that they got their tumbler. Um, we were probably like a month behind, but everybody was excited once they got their tumbler. They didn't care. And then we just got on social media and was just like getting the product out there. And I remember thinking, it was probably like 2021, something around that time. We had our version one of our product, which looks completely different than what it does now. So, version one was our plastic outer sleeve. It stayed very insulated. It was still a double wall, like stainless steel tumbler inside, but the outside was plastic, and like the words would come off after a while. And I was like, oh my God, like how are we gonna sell these? This is so bad. Um, we sold out of version one so quickly. We had very minimal returns. To this day, I'm still like, or I reached out to some people to get them a new tumbler where we got a better version. To this day, that was solidified. Like, I knew I had a good product, or I had a good idea. People backed it, and then that helped us get enough money and cash flow into the company that we actually put it even more into design, and we came up with our version 2.0, which is completely stainless steel. You can laser engrave it. All the rings turn directly within the tumbler in the steel, and it's very smooth. And that was just like, once we got that new version, it was like, let's go. So from there, continue just posting on social media a lot. And that's pretty much how we entered the market. It's just on social media, and then Kickstarter, and then word of mouth. And then now we've had retailers hit us up just from Instagram posts. Like, retailer was like, "Hey, we saw your post. We saw this. Like, I just came across it. Like, what's your wholesale? Let's get into this." And I was just like, this is a DM. Like, you could email me, but and then yeah, so pretty much like consistently posting, and then like putting the Tally Tumbler out there. That's how we entered the market. Just kind of just put it out there and did it.
So I want to get into your different SKUs, and then other. It looks like the sweatshirt you're wearing is the Tally Tumbler sweatshirt that matches maybe one of these golf
Yes.
shirts.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to, you talked about your resilience a little bit, where you're calling 40 different manufacturers and you're running into walls, and it's harder than you thought it was going to be, and it's more expensive than you thought. I've had some products that I've tried to get off the ground, and some yard games that I have prototypes that I've made that I've tried to launch. And yeah, I mean, you just run into brick wall after brick wall. So
Yeah.
talk about running through that brick wall.
Oh, yeah. That like I said, I look back on that time and it really was showing some resilience. Um I It makes you think if you're a little bit crazy for trying to put together this idea, especially like when people are throwing around like how much it's going to cost. And I'm like, dang, like, how do other people do this? There is a barrier to entry with like costs and everything like that. But yeah, the resilience was like, I knew that there was, I wouldn't say a need for this product, but I knew that there was a market to fill. There's a gap in there, and I knew that this was a very good idea. Especially not just from the yard game version, which we have, which keeps track of two different teams' scores, while you're playing bocce and like the number of rounds. But the golf version, which is our most popular one, um, like the top two rings keep track of your golf score, but then the other two rings keep track of like fairways hit and your greens and regulation. From golfing a lot, I'm an avid golfer. That I knew my buddies, they would keep track of like their putts and in other like golf apps and stuff, they would keep track of fairways and greens, but not everybody was doing that like easily and accessible. So I knew that there was something there, and turns out I was right because that's our golf one's our most popular one. Everybody likes they like seeing the stats on it and everything, and it looks cool. So literally, when I'm just like walking around, or other people tell me they're just walking around with their tumbler, they always get somebody to turn their head and ask about it because they're like, "What are those numbers on it?" So it's like it's a statement piece a little bit. So it's a lifestyle product, and I am every time I get that feedback, I just get excited because like I had a really good idea and I just didn't let anybody push me off of it. Um, and even though I heard all those no's, I was like, this can be something. And it took a while. So it wasn't like overnight success or like it, yeah, it took more than a year of just like grinding away at trying to get all these people or get all these manufacturers on board, and nobody was on board. And finally somebody took a chance on me, and that it changed things.
So when did you I mean, obviously you having the golfers love to find stuff to spend money on that's associated with golf.
Right.
So that's smart. And then I think that's cool that you can track your stats without having to be on your phone, right? Not you don't want to be pulling out your phone and be on your phone the whole time we're out playing a game or on the golf course or whatever. So it's cool that you created this kind of analog uh
Yeah.
option for doing it, to get off the phone. Um so but how did you make that transition of and when of okay, I'm going full time into this? And are you still doing the leagues? Like, are you have other income sources off of doing your bocce ball leagues? How did that all come together to make that leap?
Yeah. Back to your first part, uh, I still love because I go to trade shows and stuff now for Tally Tumbler, and people are like, I love the Tally Tumbler that it does help me get off my phone and focus in the game. Even though there's so many golf apps and everything, I'm like, I'm not trying to replace the app. I'm just trying to, make it more convenient for you. So getting that feedback from golfers that I didn't even initially really intended, um, and it solidifies the idea. Um, but I actually didn't go full time until this past summer. So it hasn't even been a full year for me yet. We have been in business since late uh no, since early 2020. So we formed LLC like late 2019. So it took like 4 years or so for us to really start making some income. I wasn't trying to just I mean, I definitely want the business to grow as fast as possible, but we bootstrapped it and we did it very steadily. And between Matt and I really just hack it away at trying to get different retailers. We got some big laser engraver companies buying from us now. We were really just not trying to just throw money at anything. We really assessed like where should we put our marketing dollars? Um, what designs on the tumbler really need to be elevated that actually need to put more money into? Do we need to make another SKU? It took us a while just to get us another tumbler, and now we have our 4-in-1 tumbler, um, which is a 14 ounce that does the scorekeeping for golf and for yard games with interchangeable rings, and it switches from a tumbler to a can koozie. Uh, there's a lot going on with that, but a lot of people have loved it so far, and like we just brought that to market, and then we just brought the 20 ounce to market, or we're about to bring that in the springtime. Actually, our 20 ounce tumbler. But, where I'm getting at is that we took our time. We didn't just try to, we make one tumbler and then just bring a whole bunch of tumblers to market because all those things cost a lot of money. So, we didn't wanna go into debt for the company. Our company is, positive, and, we definitely reinvest the funds that we get. So that's why we weren't even paying ourselves for a while. So now that we are doing a lot better. And after where we went to the PGA trade show last year, and we went back this year. But after the PGA trade show, um, for golf, that's when things really took off because orders started flowing in. Just being at that one, we've done a ton of business from that, and we ended up me and Matt were like, I think like our inbox was just flooded, our DMs are getting flooded. He has a full-time job still, and then I had a full-time job, and I was trying to set up like 6 different accounts because like we're on Target online, and that was an entire process setting up Target account. And like I'm like trying to do things on my lunch break, and I was just like, Matt, like one of us needs to actually man the ship and really be involved. And he was just like, he's like, I think you should do it. And I was like, you know what? I mean, I've had a really good job. I was at my job for 14 years. But this has been a lot of fun and it's ended up being my passion project. So I feel like I'm at the age now to where like I wanted to take the risk, and the business was in a great position, and it still is right now, and it's been even better. So yeah, we took our time, and now I'm doing it full time.
That's amazing, Kelvin. Do you mind digging in a little bit more to your trade show strategy? Because I know that
Okay.
that is something that could make or break. And a lot of times it breaks because it's very expensive. I see your face
It's
already.
very
It's
expensive.
it's expensive, it's risky, but there can be a very high payoff. So I'm just curious, what types of things do you look for in trade shows when you're selecting where where you want to attend? And also, are there things you're doing in booth that you feel are moving the needle for you all?
That's a very good question because it's evolving, and we do get hit up a lot now to be in trade shows. There's a lot of golf ones, so we're mainly focused on golf. You know, our golf tumblers are our highest selling product right now, and what we look for is the traffic, like how many people, how many vendors are going to be there. Um, is it a selling event versus like a buyer event? Um, because those, bring different audiences to the trade show. So like the PGA show where we went, that's more of like a buyer event. So that's how we were able to connect with a lot of retailers, a lot of independent golf shop buyers, a lot of other business to business people that are there that are looking to like add to their store or just like um, videographers. Like I met probably like 10 or so videographers there that, varying prices, but you can do like somewhat of a deal right at your booth with people. And a lot of these trade shows have like apps that you scan people's information, you taking notes right there. Yeah, we are after like that PGA show, we had such a success at it that we started looking into even more trade shows, and we figured out we're like, oh my god, we could be at a trade show almost every weekend. But again, it's expensive, so we have to pick and choose which ones are we think are going to be the best. We don't have the best, I wouldn't say rhyme or reason to what we pick, but we do try to pick ones that are high volume that we know are going to have a lot of traffic, and then ones that are have a lot of buyers. So we don't really want to do some smaller ones, especially if we have to like travel, get on a plane and travel somewhere. But if it's like I'm in Virginia, if it's down in North Carolina and it's not that bad, if it's a smaller show, I say just go to it. If I could drive there, take a couple hours out of my day, because a lot of these things you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who's going to be there. They're great for meeting influencers, because you DM influencers. They don't always put a face to the brand, but I met a ton of influencers at the PGA show, and now they got to see the product, got hands on product. I was able to give them one, and they're making videos for me now. So there's a lot of energy at trade shows. I would say if anybody's out there thinking of doing a trade show for their product, just try to look for the bigger ones and try not to do too many. So definitely, don't wear yourself thin. But definitely just do a couple, and definitely just see what the environment's about. Because I kind of wish there was like a yard game trade show. We could probably fill up a whole
Amen. Let's do
There
it.
you
Kelvin.
go.
right. Yeah. Um, and there's a lot of energy at, and there's so many different trade shows that I'm gonna be at one this coming up this weekend in Michigan. That's apparently the second biggest trade show for golf, and I didn't even really know about it. Somebody at the PGA show told me. So and then those prices were reasonable, so we're gonna make it happen. And then I'm going to another one, which is a hardware trade show. However, talking to the people that set up the trade shows, they were like, there's a lot of buyers and your product fits in there because they don't always, it's not just for hardware. They want a lot of different retail things. And you have a tumbler. A tumbler fits for a lot of different aspects in that space. So you should come. So I'm going to see what this one's about, but yeah, trade shows are great, and we're not really doing anything that special in the trade show booth. That's another thing I want to try to up my game more as I start doing more shows. Right now, we're so new that people really love the product, and they just stop by the booth and they either like, we saw your product, we wanted to see it. And I'm also just showing people how it works. So people that are walking by, I'm just like, hey, have you seen the Tally Tumbler yet? And they're like, no, what is it? And then I literally just go through my little spiel and demonstration and just show them. So like, that's like, to me, that's like a live view versus like an online view. Like I showed this to somebody. Um, so, and just, yeah, just showing face and being in front of people where I want to sell this product to you. So I want you to see it. And being at the trade show for the second time, it was great feedback because people were like, hey, we saw you last year. And they come back and now we have another product. So they're like, oh my God, I love this new tumbler. So like just reintroducing products at the trade show is great. So yeah, to your question, I do want to do more at trade shows, but right now we're just showing off the product.
So how, I mean, I'm guessing you're getting repeat customers and you've kind of created that on your website. You've got your income coming in from doing just selling. Well, you have a few SKUs within the tumbler, right? You've got the golf, you've got
Yes.
the yard game. But then you've got a speaker lid, you've got a variety of other lids, you've got a golf towel,
Mhm.
you've got a beach towel, you've got, some apparel. And so it seems like you're creating this brand that, yeah, people want the tumbler, but yeah, now I can turn my tumbler into a speaker, or, whatever else. Maybe some people buy it. They're just like, well, man, what a great, they might not even be drinking out of it. They just buy the golf and the speaker. They can put it right in the cup holder and keep track of their score. And then they got their tunes going or whatever. Um, so I don't know, how did how are you coming up with new ideas to get people coming back to the shop to buy more product and kind of become lifelong customers?
Again, that's evolving. I think the always the idea with Tally Tumber was, I mean, not just to be a one product company, it was to expand, and expanding into our smaller tumblers is great. So we're still just kind of figuring out that line. And having, different sizes of tumblers will keep people coming back, because I don't know if you know this, but for owning a tumbler company, nobody really cares how many tumblers they have. They will have 3 or 4 tumblers.
The number of different ways to drink beverages that my
Right.
wife and daughter own, it's unbelievable.
Yes, yes. So even myself, before I even had this company, I had a ton of tumblers. I have even more now, but yeah. So adding more products to the line will get people to come back, and then yeah, we just want to keep adding on to the product. Like I said, I always have ideas and I want to like make things better. So adding a speaker lid, like we don't make the speaker lid, but we saw that a company was selling it, and that it fit our tumbler perfectly. So it's like that's just a cool little add-on you can have. And most people either bring a speaker, or they may not have a speaker yet, but they really like the tumbler and they see that there and they can combine both with it. It's another novelty, but like it's so cool when you have that whole contraption and people are like, "What is that?" And our customers do definitely get excited. So word of mouth is still the best thing. So they like to talk about all of that. And then adding shirts and apparel is just, building out the brand.
Melissa, maybe we need to have a drip trickle flow flood tally tumbler,
I
and
yeah, I think
they
so. The
can
Wow.
keep
crossover.
keep
Let's
track of
go.
their drip trickles, flows, and floods on the cup, and then they can have the speaker to listen to the podcast.
Right.
Kelvin, do you do custom
I
custom?
do. I do. I do it all.
I like that
Uh,
idea actually.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun.
This is such a cool business, Kelvin. So what's in the future for you? Like what's next? I know we talked about expansion of product line. What other types of things are you wishing and dreaming about?
well, right now I'm really focused on Tally Tumbler. I want to see it grow. And we have still barely touched the surface of the market, in the tumbler market and the golf market. So that's my like narrow focus. Big picture focus. I'm still doing bocce ball leagues. I'm about to start up my spring league. I want to eventually introduce another game and do another game type league. I keep floating around the idea of doing a dart league. That would be a lot of fun. I play dart golf at my house, and if you haven't played, it's a fun game, and I want to introduce that type of darts to people,
Did you
and
say
I think it'd be
dart
great.
golf? Sorry,
Yes, yes,
dart
dart
golf.
golf.
Tony, have you played that? You're giving a smile like you have.
I haven't actually played dart golf, but I'm very aware of dart golf.
Okay,
It's
this
funny.
is
I
Yeah.
People send me games all the time. Like all my buddies, they're always like, "Oh, have you seen this one? Have you seen this one?" I almost always respond yes, and half the time I send them back a picture of the product at my house that I already own.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
But yeah, I wanna do more like game leagues and different yard game leagues. The only tough part about it is like not every game is perfect for a league type situation. And then all of this has been great proof of concept for me to actually own my own bocce like restaurant facility type
Oh.
deal. There's a few of them out there.
Yeah.
The way
Mhm.
I'm thinking about doing it would be completely different than what's out there. But again, that costs a lot of money. So I am saving up my chips to hopefully go down that avenue, but we'll see.
All right, Kelvin. At the end of your episodes, you always ask people some questions. I want to ask you some of the questions that you ask.
Yes.
Okay. When you vacation, you like beach or mountains?
Oh man, I like both. I just came back from Hawaii and the mountains are literally right on the beach. And in a day, we went hiking and then came back and like hung out and had a picnic on the beach. Both. It's fun. It's a good vibe.
Okay. What's your favorite item that you bring to a cookout?
Oh, what do I bring nowadays? I haven't been to a cookout lately. Um, oh, I got it. I can make some really good salsa, and I
Okay.
make some really good peach salsa too. And that's yeah.
All right. And then the most controversial question you ask every guest on Toss Talk: what's your favorite game? And you make them say other than their game. I'm gonna say other than bocce,
Other than
and I'm gonna say that you
bocce,
can't say rollers either.
I can't say rollers. Um, this game, I gotta say, there's a few. There's so many. Oh my God. I even got another game recently that was a lot of fun. Um, I gotta say Dags, the dice game.
Yeah.
That that is a lot of fun, and I always love introducing people to that game because they're like, "What is this?" And they end up wanting to play it over and over again.
So for our regular listeners, they will know that it took me about 35 episodes before I discovered that I had a microphone about 6 feet away from me, and I had never plugged it in while we were doing this podcast. And I will tell you that this microphone was about 3 inches away from my DAG's board, which is about 6 feet away from me. Super fun game.
So much fun.
Well, that was so fun. Thank you
Uh,
so much, Kelvin, for coming on and sharing all your wisdom and all the cool things that you're up to. We wish you the best of luck. We're going to share all of your links with our audience as well. Make sure that you check out Kelvin's website, but also his podcast. Give that a listen, particularly if you love games. And if you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review on your favorite podcast platform. And with that said, we'll see you next time on Drip Trickle Flow Flood. Thanks, everyone. And thanks, Kelvin.
thank you.